I'm the president of the CFA SFSU chapter of our faculty union, and I am here to stand for academic freedom and for the rights of both Professor Rabab Abdulhadi and Tamami Kinukawa. I just want to give a little bit of background about what was going on, what the context of it was, and what's the current situation now. Many of you may already know the details, but I'll just go over them fairly quickly. Professor Rabab Abdulhadi and Professor Tamami Kinukawa had a webinar that they were putting together. This was, I believe, October of 2020, I think. I might have my dates wrong. And somehow and one of the people on the panel was a Palestinian feminist named Leila Khaled, who had once been associated with a Palestinian group that has been labeled a terrorist organization by the State Department. So the Lawfare Committee, I forgot what they call it, Project Lawfare, found out about this and then alerted Zoom, that because Zoom is hosting the webinar, and they said that to not do it and blah, blah, blah. And it was actually interesting because the CSU, which is to say the large organization of which SF State is a part, actually on its own decided that there was no material support for Leila Khaled anyway, so the whole question was immaterial, whether they were supporting her or not supporting her. But our campus didn't sort of take that up as a way to sort of argue with Zoom. They just sort of pretty much accepted Zoom's decision, and worse yet, they wrote an email to Professors Abdulhadi and Kinukawa saying, just so you know, you might end up going to jail if you do this, which is totally not true and incredibly chilling to academic freedom. I mean, can you imagine getting such an email yourself, like you might go to jail if you do this? So, after that, they then sort of suggested that they get their own lawyer and they deal with this and they deal with that. They did absolutely nothing to support this. They didn't help fight for it. They didn't really they looked very minimally for an alternative, but they didn't really do much there either. And basically in every single way they could have helped, and if they'd been a robust supporter of academic freedom, they would have helped. They did nothing. So we had a statutory hearing last month, and I'm very pleased to say for that part, so faculty hearings, these are called statutory hearings, and they're a kind of a method when the contract itself doesn't specifically mention any bad behavior. Faculty can still have this outlet to have a hearing of their peers. So 3 jurors are from among the faculty are chosen at random, and they serve as the peer group that makes the decision. So it's a very democratic process. This happened, and the faculty panel itself, I'm very proud to say, ruled in favor of Professors Abdulhadi and Kinukawa, claiming that their free speech was chilled, both in a positive and a negative way. Positively by threatening them with jail, and negatively by not doing anything to help them. So in both ways. Then on, I believe it was November 7th, I want to say, I might have the dates wrong again, Lynn Mahoney, who's the president of SF State, rejected their claims. She said that it wasn't chilling to say that you might go to jail because they didn't say you can't do it. They just said you might go to jail, which to me is ridiculous, just completely ridiculous. So and then secondly, they said, oh, we did try to help, but not very much. And I wanted to highlight so I want to say a couple things about all this. First, we're going to have another. I'm actually sending an appeal out this morning to sort of appeal so we can hopefully get to arbitration. Secondly, there's going to be a second statutory hearing with Professor Kinukawa. So we have two bites at the apple. And I think that if both times the faculty panel rules in our favor, which I'm sure they will because this is a very open and shut case, I think we'll be in good shape. And I wanted to say 2 things sort of more generally. I think it's really troubling to have a private corporation be in charge of our academic freedom. You can pretty much count on them to sort of do the wrong thing. All they care about is money. They have no interest in academic freedom as a right or a privilege, and so I just don't trust them. Interestingly, Professor Leila Khaled has been on Zoom a million times. Nothing has ever happened. So it's only when they kind of got this attention from the Lawfare Project that this happened, and that was also something that our university could have mentioned but didn't. That was another avenue they could have taken if they really robustly supported free speech. They would have done that. To me, it's very important to say that saying that you're for free speech is meaningless if when things get tough, you don't do anything, right? Free speech only exists in duress. Otherwise, it's just a word. It's nothing. So this was an abject failure. The other thing, and the last thing I want to say is, it's very distressing as the chapter president of the union to have this democratic, jury panel of one's peers come to a conclusion and have it be overridden by the president. That just seems incredibly undemocratic and counter to the spirit of this thing. So that's where we stand right now. We've got Professor Abdulhadi's back and Professor Kinukawa's back, and we won't give up. And we're going to fight to not only win this particular battle, but also we want to enhance the rights of academic freedom in our contract, which are very weak. Right now it's just in the preamble, some kind of very weak language about academic freedom. And we can see in this instance that academic freedom is under constant threat, and it needs a lot more, it needs an article of its own, it needs a much more robust language, so that we don't have to resort to a statutory grievance, we can just do a regular grievance and have academic freedom cherished as they say they do. So thank you very much, and thanks for all for coming.